They are making a difference on 938 Live.
Imagine being on call based on the disasters of the world to be deployed as and when an emergency calls for it. That's been Jimmy Nadapdap's life for the past 16 years with World Vision. He is now in the Global Rapid Response Team based in Singapore in the South Asia and Pacific Regional Office. We're focusing the spotlight on humanitarian workers this week on They Are Making a Difference. And today I start by asking Jimmy to describe the moment when he's called to go on duty overseas when a disaster strikes.
So basically, my mandate is that to be on the disaster site between 24 to 72 hours. So let me just give two examples. So one is in the tsunami. I arrived on the scene after 48 hours. The other one is the recent Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines back, in November last year. I was already arriving in Philippines after 24 hours. So basically, if you are asking me how much in notice, then it's less than 48 hours usually. Like when the call comes, then I just need to organize myself.
And the minute that you arrive at the disaster site, what do you do?
I basically need to assess what's available from our side in order to be able to help. And also need to assess also the size of the emergency, getting information both from the government, from the NGOs, local NGOs, and also from the United Nations. So it helps us to understand, the size, the intervention that we need to take in order to help people.
Right. So as an example, take us through what happened when you arrived at the site of Typhoon Haiyan.
Basically, I can only access Cebu at that time because everything is collapsed, right? I mean, Philippines, you're talking about an island type of country. So then when Haiyan hits Philippines, basically we cannot access immediately because of the logistic problem. What we can access at that time, everybody focused on Tacloban. We could not go there, but we know also the other part of the country, which is in Cebu Island, also hit. So basically, we rush to Cebu and then to organize the distribution for the community that's affected.
How do you organize for the distribution?
Because emergency response, disaster preparedness is part of our mandate. We already organized also ourselves even before the disaster hits or strikes. So at that time, we already have people on the ground that train. I'm talking about World Vision Philippines, colleagues from Philippines that are ready also to do the distribution. So how to organize that one is basically to identify the beneficiary. We could not just go to the place where we want to do distribution without any preparation, especially with the number that you want to distribute, because it's just chaos, right? You go there, you just bring stuff, and you don't know what's the number that you want to target. So basically, we will go to the distribution at least 24 hours before that. Talk with the community leaders, talk with the head of the camp, if available, or talk also with some. Get local information about number of the people that we want to help, to target, and then we organize our logistic also to come and bring food, to bring vegetable oil, we bring biscuit, we bring some of the things that they really need immediately.
Jimmy, as a full-time staff with World Vision, how often are you called overseas then?
I've been working in many places actually. So, but mostly my mandate is with the global one. I'm talking about Haiyan. I'm talking about the one in Syria. I'm talking about the food crisis in Africa last year. So, at least twice a year. But besides that one, I also help to initiate the disaster preparedness. So for disaster preparedness, it's even more often in some of the call that I receive to help the country. So my travel schedule is basically go up to 50% per month to either to respond or also to help the country to organize themselves.
How does this affect your personal life, being on call based on global circumstances?
I've been doing this for the last 16 years. It's just like in your blood already. You do it, your instinct working, and then you know how to do it. I've been working in many contexts. I've been working in the Middle East. I've been working in Africa and also in many places in Asia. Personally, you get used to that one. You know how to do it. But perhaps, of course, that I have family, young daughter, she's 8. That try to explain that one is not always easy. You are at home, and then suddenly within 24 to 48 hours you're gone, and then you're gone for what? 3 months, and then it's not always easy to explain.
I mean, you've been doing this for so long, but do you ever reflect on what is still the hardest part of your job then?
Dealing with emergency is not about even, it's just like when you drive a car and then you deal with an accident. No matter how prepared you are, no matter how good you are with your first aid kit preparation or technique or training, but once you already deal with the real situation, it's always difficult because you always deal with a different context. Sometimes the issue, like in the Philippines, is logistics. The issue while I was in Syria is politics, access. The issue when I was in Myanmar is also about access. It's always a different situation. So adjusted to that one is always becoming very challenging.
What skills have you honed then over the years to be able to handle all these kinds of very different challenges when you face different kind of disasters?
I guess your adaptability skill is getting better and better in my opinion. I mean, you go to certain places. It's not only the challenge on the logistics. I was in Azerbaijan working in a small city area which is only 100,000 people, and then you only meet maybe 3 people that can speak English. How you deal with that one? And I don't speak Russian. Just your adaptability, because it is what it is, right? You cannot expect an ideal situation. Basically, you just need to go around and then find a way. I mean, I always believe when there is a will, there is a way. So that's the thing. And second is people are smart. Sometimes we just don't know because we don't expose to that situation. I was in West Africa 2 years back in a country called Mauritania. Not many people know. I didn't know what's the name of the airport, but people are smart actually because they've been dealing with that one in daily basis. What they need is really expertise or trigger to help them, okay, this is the solution, and then also help them, inspire them to have stronger commitment to deal with the situation.
Jimmy, in these times, the spotlight on people like yourself carrying out these kinds of jobs is your own safety, your own security. How do you negotiate that against needing to do your job?
I think I cannot discount that, of course, when you're dealing with this, the risk is there, or even the risk is greater than those that not doing that one. Understanding, self-aware that the risk is there is key. Second, you're responsible for your own security. I mean, many of the security measurement is common sense, right? When you are in a place and then there is a curfew, you cannot go out, and you cannot go out. Don't challenge that context. When the context said that you cannot go out, you cannot go out. So just follow the protocol and the security procedure that has been put in place. And the third is, I think, in my opinion, I need to tell that we are not doing suicidal mission here. We are doing a very logic. We are having a security expertise with us to help and plan, because we don't just go there and then really risk our lives, sorry to say, stupidly. No, we won't do that. Like, for example, while I was in the northern part of Syria, southern part of Turkey, basically I cannot afford not having a security expertise with me even for an hour, because I'm not a security expert, right? So somebody that's expert that will advise us to do our thing. That's how we are doing this. It's a very professional in terms of our planning, also our approach, even in a very difficult situation.
And that was Jimmy Nadapdap, who's part of the Global Rapid Response Team based in Singapore in the South Asia and Pacific Regional Office for World Vision. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Daphne Lim.
They are making a difference on 938 Live.